welcome to Something to Talk About. I'm STALindaMcNamee, and for the next hour, we are going to learn some techniques to help you de-stress during these challenging times. And yes, once again, we are virtual. Hopefully we will be in the studio again soon. I would like to thank Chris Flaherty for helping me set up this meeting and working some of his magic and making sure that viewing this episode is just as enjoyable as it would be in the studio. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. Now I would like to introduce my wonderful guest for this evening is Rachel Rice, who is the president of 5 Rhythms Consulting. So welcome, Rachel. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come and hang out with me virtually. Rachel, can you hear me?
I can, although the transmission is it breaks up every now and then. So
okay.
It kind of goes in and out a little bit.
All right, well, we'll do our best. You know, we are living in uncharted territory.
We will.
So
we are. Well, thank you so much for having me on the show, Linda. I'm so delighted to be here.
Well, it took us long enough because I think I had originally scheduled you before the quarantine and kept pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off. So I'm glad that you didn't think that I was just making this up, and I'm glad you finally got to join me.
I'm delighted to be here. I'm looking forward to talking with you about it.
Great. Before we actually get into energy medicine, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, maybe where you went to school, and how you came to the Boston area?
Sure. I grew up in New Jersey in a small town called Highland Park, right across the river from Rutgers University. Oh. And then I moved to Philadelphia. I went to school at University of Pennsylvania for my undergrad. And then I moved a bunch. I worked in New York for a while, and then I moved to Boston for a job, and then I went to Chicago for business school.
Wow.
And then I moved out to California, and I came back to the Boston area. I really like it up here. I like New England quite a bit. I got into energy medicine probably about 10 or 15, no, more like 15 or 20 years ago. Somebody introduced me to Reiki, and so I started studying that. I learned that as a modality, and then I started just delving into various modalities of energy work and came across Donna Eden and the Eden method. Probably about 10 plus years ago, she wrote a book and somebody gave it to me, and I started reading it and trying things out. And what I really liked about it was that I could actually feel energy moving in my body in response to techniques that I was doing.
Wow. And so it's like instant gratification almost.
It was. So I immediately started feeling calmer and more peaceful, and just I could see things more clearly, and it sparked my interest. So even though I was working in the corporate world at the time and had a very successful corporate career, I just started getting more and more curious about what this energy thing was about. And it became my passion. I just started learning more and more about it.
Well, where do you learn about stuff like this? Is it, local, or do you have to travel?
Well, so I first got the book, and I probably read the book over a period of 3 or 4 years. Initially, I was very skeptical about it. And so it sat on my coffee table for a little while, but I'd open it up and try something, and then I would feel better having tried it. And so over time, it just took me some while to read the book, but I learned quite a lot. And then I decided that I really wanted to learn from this person who wrote the book. So I signed up for the training, this first year level 1 fundamentals training, and it was local. So I took it with a local teacher. It wasn't with Donna Eden herself. It was with one of her faculty members. And I learned so much, and I felt so much better at the end of that year. And I just started doing these techniques, and I decided to go on for the second year, which was out in Phoenix. At the time. Yeah. And so I got certified in the work, even though I was still working in corporate and had a very, I worked in corporate. I was still just very interested. It was like my hobby at the time. So I got certified. And then after I got certified, I thought, I really want to know more about this. So I went on to the 3rd year, which is a clinical practicum, and learned more protocols, especially around like heart and cancer protocols. And then after that, I went on for advanced training, a 4th year of training, because I was just so fascinated by it. And then I've read books on the science of energy medicine, but I've had coaching, I've been in classes, I've gotten certified, and I have a clinical practice. So that's how I
Wow.
worked it. Yeah.
So how did you transition from the corporate world into biorhythms consulting?
So I did all of my corporate work, and then on the side was learning and practicing on my family and friends. And
Okay.
then at one point, my company was acquired, and
Oh, okay.
I decided, okay, do I want to go find a similar opportunity? I was the chief marketing officer at the time for a retirement plan company. And as a senior level executive, I needed to decide, was I willing to move out of Massachusetts? Did I want to stay in Massachusetts? There are only so many positions like that. Did I want to shift into a different kind of role? Or did I want to start to practice this very interesting work? And there were a few pivotal things that happened during that period of time that made me think I really wanted to do this work full time. The first is that while I was working at New York Life, because the techniques that I was learning helped me be a more effective presenter and communicator, I opened up a workshop to employees at the company. And I offered them the opportunity to come and do a lunch and learn with me. And I shared a 5-minute routine with them that Donna Eden had said would increase your overall vitality, would increase your energy levels, your communication, help you sleep better. You know, she listed a bunch of things that she said, if you do these exercises, it will help your energy levels. And I thought, well, it's helping me certainly, but I was kind of curious and very data driven. I'm skeptical. Okay. I need data. I want to know what the impact is for people. And so I asked the people who came to the workshop to fill out a survey. And I asked them, on a 5-point scale, how they were currently feeling on these 9 aspects of energy vitality, the things that I just mentioned, communication, connection, vitality, things like that, health, well-being. And then I taught them this exercise, and I met with them every day for 30 days, whoever wanted to come. And we did these 5 minutes together at lunch. And then at the end of 30 days, I asked them to fill out the same survey. And over the 30-day period, I saw a 20% uptick on average for every aspect of vitality that I had asked them about.
That seems pretty significant.
That was pretty significant. Now, there are a few limiting factors to that data. It was a smaller data set, so it's not statistically valid. But directionally, it felt like we're seeing something. There was a thing, and it wasn't the same aspect of vitality that went up for everybody.
We're all different, so it kind of makes sense.
So somebody might feel a little bit more vitality. Somebody else might have felt like they were sleeping better. Somebody else might have felt more creative, things like that. But overall, on average, I was seeing this uptick. And so I thought, okay, there's really something here.
Sounds valid.
It's not just me. And so I needed that for myself. I needed that kind of like data validation to say, okay, there's really something. And then when we were going to sell our company, we were going out to bid, and we went in front of John Hancock. We did this presentation. And as a management team, each one of us had to present a portion of the presentation.
Okay.
And one of my colleagues, who was slated to go first in the queue, froze during the dry run.
Oh, no.
And he went sheet white, and he lost access to his hands. He just wasn't able to communicate effectively. He said and ah at least, I don't know, every other word. It was really hard and very painful.
Yeah, major stage fright.
Yes. And, my heart went out to him. And also they moved him from first in queue to last in queue because they couldn't take the risk. So that afternoon, I offered to just sit with him and do whatever he needed to support him so that we could all move forward together. And while we were meeting, I said, look, I do this 5-minute routine. I do these back pocket exercises every time I get in front of clients, every time I get in front of the company, every time I go into an important meeting. I was doing these exercises because they help you communicate more effectively. They help you feel better. They help you be more vital. And I said, do you want me to show you these exercises? And he said, sure, anything if it's going to help. Yeah. And the first exercise I showed him brought the color back into his face.
Wow.
And his eyes lit up again, like they had been glossy. He was like in stage fright, essentially. But the color came back into his face. His eyes lit up. He immediately got the use of his hands again. And then, we got him out of overwhelm. We got him unscrambled, literally in 5 minutes. Wow. And then we went on and we worked on his presentation. We skinnied it down. We helped him get rid of his ums and his ahs. And the next day he knocked it out of the park. So I thought,
Wow.
oh my gosh, okay, there's really something here. And it made all the difference to that presentation. It
Gee, I
really
want to
did.
see what are one of these exercises that you did? I'm curious. We
Yeah,
don't
the
have to
one
take
that,
5 minutes, but
yeah. Well, I want to share these exercises because they are potentially life-changing for people, especially if you have fear, you get overwhelmed, or if you're distressed. You know, these exercises really, for many people, work in the moment. And so the one that I shared with him that brought color back to his face is one where you tap under the collarbone. So if you come in on the points of your collarbone, right
okay.
to the point, and go down about an inch, there's a little hollow there.
Yeah.
If you can see where I am, there's like a little hollow.
Yeah.
You want to just tap in there.
For like
And
5
so we're,
minutes or
well, so it really sometimes can bring energy up to your face and your brain in about 20 to 30 seconds. So just breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. And we're just going to do that again. So breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. And we're going to do one more. So breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And
that's
what it
pretty cool.
does,
Yeah.
what this does is we're actually tapping on the end of the kidney meridian. The meridians are super light highways that run through your body. They bring fresh
Oh,
energy
wow.
to your organs.
Okay.
And this meridian that we're tapping on is related to the kidney organ. It's called the kidney meridian. And the meridian starts on the bottom of your feet and ends at the collarbone. So you can stop tapping. But
Okay. Yeah. I'm
just
afraid to
tune
get a
in.
bruise or something.
Oh, we don't tap hard enough to get a bruise. It's just a very light tap. It doesn't have to be a firm tap.
Okay.
You shouldn't bruise. What we're doing is we're bringing energy from our feet up to our head. And in that
Yeah, and
process
I
of
actually
bringing,
feel like more blood circulation in my head right now. That is
yes,
pretty wild.
yes, and this can help students who are fatigued. Like if you're in school and you're looking up at the computer and then you're looking down at your paper, it can help retention of information. It can help with memory. It can help with paying attention, and it gets all of your energy moving forward because
Oh,
it's the
okay.
first meridian on the meridian chain. As we prime our pump, it's kind of like on the snowblower. Sometimes there's a button that you can
I
pump.
have one on my lawnmower.
Yes, exactly. So you get the engine going. You prime the pump, you get a little bit of the gasoline going into the engine, and then everything can go more easily. And it's the same thing. If we prime our pump, especially in the morning, we can bring energy up and move it forward. And so just that alone got blood moving in his body, got the energy moving forward. We could actually have a good conversation. And so you can feel it, right?
Yeah. That's pretty
So,
cool.
so that was a pivotal event for me when I was in corporate, and I thought, wow, this really makes an important difference for people. And what about all those people who have stage fright? And what if they could shift out of their stage fright just with a few techniques? And so that got me thinking about it.
Okay.
And it helped me when, eventually we did get acquired. The transaction was very successful. And I thought, I really want to do this full time. I want to help people feel better and move forward in their lives, even when they're feeling really stuck. And so that was really the pivotal point for me.
Cool. Now, as we mentioned, or as we discussed, this person that you helped already was experiencing stage fright. Does somebody have to have like an issue, or can this just like up the playing field?
It can. It can.
Feel better?
Yeah, so part of the work that I do is around peak performance. So if you're already feeling pretty good, but you want to feel even better, we can use these techniques to optimize your energy flow. We have this energy running through our body. There are essentially 9 energy systems in the body, and we respond to things around us in the world. And sometimes it could be somebody else's mood, or sometimes it could be what's going on in the environment or the political scene. And we're all impacted by those things in one way or the other.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And just by working with your energy on a regular basis, you can help yourself be more resilient in light of everyday stressors. And that helps us get back to our normal homeostasis faster. And so these exercises are great if you're struggling with something, or if you're preparing for something and you just want to know you're going to do better work with it.
Okay.
Or even if you're in sports, I've worked with athletes and helped them improve their times or their performance in sports. And so, this is really broad ranging.
Through energy, and you don't have to wow.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
you
it's
mentioned,
not about ingesting anything. It's just working with your own body.
wow. Now you mentioned 9 different is it
And
meridians?
it's energy systems. So
Energy systems.
just, yeah, just like in your body, you have a digestive tract and a skeletal system and a circulatory system. Those are all unique systems in your body. You
Okay.
also have 9 distinct energy systems, and they all work together. The meridian system is one of the 9.
Okay. Now, depending on what issue you're dealing with, like you want to improve your stage performance, you want to reduce anxiety, or you want to, like you said, work with athletes to increase. Are there different techniques? Are those different energy tracks that you're working with?
So the techniques don't differ based on what the symptoms are necessarily.
Okay.
The way that we identify what system to work with or what energies that we're going to work with or what techniques we're going to do is by using muscle testing. So I actually figure out, is energy flowing through a muscle? How well is it flowing through the muscle? We let the muscle tell us whether and how the energy is flowing. And then we use that muscle, once it can tell us on, off, true, false, we can use that muscle to tell us where the energy is stuck in the body and what techniques will help it get moving again.
And how do you identify which muscle?
Well, we generally just start with something called a general indicator muscle.
Okay.
It's a muscle up here underneath your collarbone called the
Oh.
pectoralis major clavicular muscle. And we use that muscle as an indicator to let us know how things are going in the body overall.
Okay. When you said muscle, I was thinking like biceps and triceps and quads, and I'm like, huh?
Well, we could use any of those. We
Oh.
could use any of those as a general indicator. We just typically use this pectoralis muscle as the indicator to start with.
Okay. So I'm like looking at my notes because I always have a cheat sheet. Um, do you work? It sounds. Do you work with other types of medicine like acupuncture, acupressure, chiropractic?
Absolutely. So what I do is complementary. And, there are reasons why somebody goes to a chiropractor, or reasons somebody goes to an acupuncturist, reasons somebody goes to a medical doctor. And those are all really important. All of those practitioners, their work is really important.
Okay, so
And
this doesn't replace the
it
medicine.
doesn't, it doesn't. What it does do is it empowers somebody with tools that they can do themselves. So one of the key things that attracted me to the Eden method is how empowering it was and how much I could do on my own, that I didn't need to rely on another practitioner. Now, some things you do need to rely on another practitioner for. But if there's something off with your energy and we can track it and you feel better as a result of those exercises, you can do them on your own. You don't need to rely on an energy medicine practitioner every 2 days or 3 days or every week. Once you know what the exercises are that are going to help you feel better every day, you can do them yourself. And in fact, I did exercises myself every day for a couple of years before I even went to a session.
Oh, okay. So this isn't like a one-time fix. So once your, stage fright is over, it doesn't
Well,
cure it. It just helps you in the moment.
so it depends on what it is. There have
Okay.
certainly been situations where I've helped somebody clear a fear and then the fear is gone.
Okay.
So we can get very specific. For example, I helped somebody with fear of flying.
Oh, okay.
And they had been very afraid of getting on the plane. After we worked, they were able to get on the plane and fly. And so that's an example of, we worked, and that was like a year later, they were able to get on the plane.
Okay, so they
So
don't have to do like that exercise before they board the plane every time. It's like it's gone.
they might want to do it because it can help them with certain things, or it could help
Okay.
reduce the anxiety even further. But the fear that we cleared. And then the exercises really help to maintain. Now that's an example of clearing a fear. Once we clear the fear, that fear is gone.
Okay.
However, with energy, it really is about repatterning the energy of the body. And just like any other habit, our energies form habits. And those habits are there for a reason, because they're keeping us alive. Those habits are serving us.
Okay.
And when we work with our energies, we need to re-habituate the energies to flow in a way that's more useful for the body. Once they're re-habituated, they're going to need less support on an ongoing basis.
Oh.
So oftentimes I'll share a routine with my clients. It's a 5-minute routine. It's a very general routine. It's made up of exercises that have helped the most people and have the greatest impact.
Okay.
But they're not custom, but it's a good routine. And I recommend that people do it once a day because it helps your energies get flowing in a way that's more useful for your body.
Now, are those exercises like time dependent? You have to do them in the morning, you have to do just whenever you.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when I first started doing this work, there were a few exercises that I found, like, if I did those exercises before important meetings, like maybe I did them at 9, at 11, at 1, at 3,
Okay.
they didn't take very long. Maybe they took a minute or 2 minutes.
Okay.
I just felt more articulate, more able to process and retain information. And so they helped me. And over time, I needed to do them less frequently. And so it was a matter of just repatterning my energies. And I could do that myself. What I like about it is that I didn't have to rely on going to somebody to repattern it for me. I could do it myself.
Now, does energy medicine have a direct link to like a psychological impact?
So our energies are integrally related to our mind, our body, our emotions, and our spirituality. We're all integrated beings. And so we're all connected. The physical body is integrally related to the energy. In fact, our physical body is made of cells. Cells are made of molecules. Molecules are made of atoms. And atoms are primarily energy.
That's true. Okay. Never thought of it that way.
And so if you think about us as human beings, we're mostly moving electrons in space.
Okay.
That's what we are. We are mostly energy, and that energy is moving. And there's charge in our body. We're conduits of energy moving all of the time. Now, the table in front of me in my computer, that's matter. And then that matter is also made of molecules. Those molecules are also made of atoms. They're just structured slightly differently and have a different level of communication within those things, stored energy. Okay. And so I've started to shift the way that I look at the world, that the physical body is actually energy. Our mental state are waves. Those are electronic impulses, waves that have a vibration. And so all of that is impacted by energy. It just, once you start to think about the world as primarily energy in motion or energy that's stationary, one or the other, it's either moving or it's stuck.
Okay.
Then everything has a charge. Everything has a vibrational imprint, whether it's a thought or an emotion or a physical attribute. It's all just energy.
And we got to get that energy moving.
We do. That's a principle of energy medicine, is that energy needs to move. And it moves in specific patterns. And when it doesn't move, we feel stuck emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
What about the environment? How does that impact an individual's energies?
So we think about it all as energy. So if there's something in the environment, whether it's chemical or a group of people who have a negative attitude about things, all of that has a vibrational signature. And because we're energy as well, we're going to be impacted by that vibrational signature.
Okay. So speaking of environment, what about allergies? I read on your website that you can work with different energy treatments to help alleviate allergy symptoms. How does that?
Yeah. Okay. So what I do with energy work is I don't really work with the symptoms themselves because I can't diagnose and I don't treat the symptoms. What I treat is the energy underlying it.
Okay.
And so with an allergy, what's typically going on, what I've typically seen is that there's a meridian, one of the meridians in the body, governs fight or flight, your immune response and habits. And sometimes that energy gets overly engaged and starts to look at things as invaders that are actually not invaders. It starts to overreact.
Okay.
Something coming into the body.
What, humans overreacting about something? What a concept.
Exactly. And so we want to be able to eat a whole variety of foods, right? Okay. And most people can eat a whole variety of foods, but some people, they've interpreted the strawberry or the banana or the chicken or the egg or the wheat as toxic. Something's not matching vibrationally to the body. And that energy that governs fight or flight, your immune response and habit says, nope, sorry, and over engages. And what we need to do is we need to say, okay, let's rebalance the body's energies. Let's work with that fight or flight response. Let's work with these energies that are perceiving this vibration as not in sync. Let's get it to see it as something that's in sync. So that's what we do. That's what we do with things that the body is having an energetic reaction to. And I look at it as an energetic reaction. Rather than your runny nose, I say, what's happening to your energies when we bring the strawberry or the pine needle or the flower or whatever it is into your field? What actually is getting tripped up in your energy field? And we can find that out. And then we bring that back into balance. And that's how we work with the allergies. It's really the energy of the resistance.
Okay. Now you're mentioning bring back the balance. As humans, do we start with balanced energies, or like anything else, it's just kind of genetic? You're either, born with energy levels stable, or you're born with your energy levels messed up?
Well, so we need to think about that at the atomic level. As soon as the egg and the egg is created, it really does, right? This is a meta shift in thinking. As soon as there's an egg, the egg is made of cells, and those cells are made of atoms, and those atoms have vibration, and they're interacting with the mother's vibration, all the food that's being ingested, right? There's already something that is either vibrationally in sync or not. And then the sperm and the egg connect, and all of a sudden there are more cells that have, and then the physical body is starting to connect, but the energetic body and the energetic imprint is also starting to create that template. Okay. And so right from the very start, we are working energetically to become in sync with our environment and the things around us. And for some people, I think that's easier. So some people have an easier time with that, and some people have a harder time with that, depending on what the inputs are and what they came into the world with, and what their energetic imprint is. So it's going to be different for everybody.
So it's kind of like the whole nature nurture thing combined.
It's combined. It's all combined, because every day we're all interacting with our environment in different ways. And we come in with certain vibrational qualities. It's actually, there's information in one of the energy systems is the aura, and there's information that's layered into our aura. And some of that information that's layered into our aura involves how we perceive the world.
Oh, wow. There's layers of energy.
There are layers of energy.
Wow.
And we store energy in our field. So the chakras are one of the energy systems, and the layers that are deepest into the body store information that we come into the world with. And so there's layers of interpretation.
Wow. Okay, I think we may have touched on this, but I wasn't sure if we covered everything. Tracking your energy.
Yeah.
So if somebody comes to you, I think on your website it said you have to track your energy. How do you do that? Is it like a journal? Is it, what do you do?
Yeah, so what I do is first we qualify a muscle, meaning that we find a muscle in the body. I usually use this pectoralis major clavicular muscle, and I make sure that the energy flow can be turned on and off through the muscle.
How do you do that?
Well, we could try it. You want to try it?
Sure.
So you have something. So what I do is I start with a weight, and it's a 2-pound weight. So I use a weight, and what I have somebody do is put their arm out in front of them, making sure that they're not using an arm that's injured, and rest the weight on the table in front of them. Now, what you want is a weight that you can lift just fine normally.
Okay.
But if I pinch the muscle,
that's hard.
I pinch the muscle, but now I'm having a harder time lifting the weight.
Oh.
Which means that I've impacted the flow of energy through the muscle. And then I'm going to smooth out the muscle. So this is the direction of the muscle. I'm going to smooth it out. And then I'm going to lift the weight again. and it's easy for me to lift it. So I know that I'm able to impact the strength of the muscle.
Oh, okay.
And then I try true false. I have somebody say what their name is. So in this case, I'd say my name is Rachel, and I'm going to lift the weight because that's true for me, and I'm nice and strong. And then I say something that's not true, like my name is Paul, and then I have a harder time lifting the weight. And so
That is
we
wild.
want to use it's a small weight, so I'm not going to injure myself. If I use a straight arm and isolate this muscle, I want to make sure I'm not injured in the arm because I don't want to injure it further.
Right.
But
Okay.
I do want to make sure that I can turn the flow of energy on and off in various ways. Once I do that, then I can start using techniques that identify where energy is moving or not moving in the body. So for example,
Okay.
earlier before we started the show, I said that there's this connection between a meridian that runs up the front of the body and a meridian that runs up the back of the body.
Okay.
And typically they connect in the back of the mouth.
Okay.
And I want to know for somebody, are those energies connected or are they not connected? Because if they're connected, we feel more confident, we feel more calm, we feel more embodied, we're able to connect more easily with other people. When those two meridians are connected, we feel more whole.
Okay. I hope you don't have to gag yourself in order to figure this out.
No, all you need to, and it looks kind of silly, but you just press and release the nose. And then I have people lift the weight or I muscle test them. And if they're strong, I know the energy is really connecting very well because just a touch on the nose was not enough to disrupt the flow. But
Okay.
if pressing and releasing on the nose had somebody have a hard time lifting their weight, then I know that was enough to disrupt the flow of the connection between these two meridians. And we say, well, that's not good.
Wow.
And so then I give them an exercise to do to try to see if they can reconnect those two meridians. And once they're done doing the exercise, I test it again to make sure, are they strong now?
Okay.
And so that's called tracking. It's saying, let's figure out where the energy is flowing well in all these systems. And where it's not flowing well, we're going to do an exercise and then we're going to see, did we get it to connect? Did we get it to flow? Did we get it to balance?
Okay.
Typically people feel better immediately. It's like you saw with we tapped on and immediately you're like, oh, I feel a little brighter.
Yeah.
And so usually when we figure out what's going on with somebody's energies, they feel it right away. Some people don't. I'd say 95% of people who come into my office start to feel the energy moving, they feel better. And even if they don't feel it in the moment, at the end of the session, they feel lighter, they feel happier, they feel more grounded, they feel more embodied. So that's tracking. And then I do use a tracker sheet. It's kind of like a list of things that I can check. And I go through and I check these various energies to say, are they flowing or not? And then what have we corrected? What was out of balance? What have we corrected? So that I have an idea week to week or month to month of what's going on for someone. Where are things really sticky? Where are they balancing really well, but where have they been sticky? And that helps us go deeper into the underlying things, and then we balance those.
Wow. So I think you answered a lot of my questions.
So it's a very methodical process. Sorry, it's a methodical, empirical process, and that's one of the things that I really like about the Eden method. Is it's comprehensive. It deals with a lot of all of these different energy systems, and it's methodical. I can teach people how to do it themselves. I can teach people how to do it on other people, and we, session to session, we can track the same things, and we can see, did we make a difference? It's very specific. And because it's so specific, I think that's why we see good results with the tracking and balancing, because we can identify what's out.
Okay. Your website talks about reducing reactivity and how you react to them. How is that related to the circumstance itself? Is there that?
There's always a connection between what's going on around you in the environment or the people around you and what your response is to that. I would say in an ideal world, I'm responsive to people rather than reactive.
Okay.
I want to hear what people have to say. I want to understand where they're coming from. And then ideally, I want to be able to share my perspective on that without becoming emotionally reactive. But sometimes people can get triggered.
Oh, yeah.
And then a normal response that you might say, what do you mean you ate all the cookies? I wanted a cookie, right? Could be like, turn into like a rage. It could become a reaction.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
somebody can
absolutely.
become emotionally, reactive. And that reactivity then sometimes can spiral into more things. It can spiral into more of a physical reactivity like allergies, or like an extreme
Oh,
reactivity like anaphylaxis, or autoimmune illness is a type of reactivity where the body is reacting to their own body
okay.
rather than responding to what's going on. So
Is that like
reactivity
internalizing type almost?
so reactivity energetically is when the body is looking at either something externally or something internally in a more explosive way than we would ordinarily do it.
Okay.
A really balanced, calm, grounded individual is not going to explode in your face if something happens.
Okay.
Right? If, for example, like you're at a stop line and the person in front of you, a stop light, the person in front of you is not going, most of the time we just hang out. We know something's going on. We know they're going to move forward. They might be taking a little bit longer. Maybe they're learning how to drive. Maybe something else is going on, but we know they're going to move forward. But somebody that's in a reactive mode is going to like really honk the horn, might yell out their window, might raise their middle finger, like there's all this
Yeah.
like, and the rage might be coming up and they might get flushed in the face. And so, we all are reactive periodically. It's when we stay in a reactive mode that things then spiral energetically.
Okay.
And with energy medicine, we can track that energy and figure out what's going on with it, and we can bring it into balance. And when we do that, people feel like this overinflated balloon starts to calm down, and they actually feel a settling in their being. They come back to themselves and like, oh gosh, I don't know what got over me. But you can actually work with it. And I think that's the other thing that's very satisfying about energy work, is that once we figure it out,
Mhm.
then you have a tool in your toolkit. And you're like, oh, I'm feeling that reactivity again. I know what I can do potentially to start to bring that energy, that energetic feeling of like, we can start to bring it down. And I think that's just very empowering.
Yeah. Okay. I was highly entertained by the term defrazzling on your
Great.
website. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a real word or not, but it's a really cool word. Um, how is reducing that reactivity related to defrazzling? Because I know I get frazzled very easily, but it
Yeah.
seems to be a reactive behavior. So how is that the
Yeah.
same? And yeah, how is,
Yeah. They're not the same, but they're related.
okay.
So I think we get frazzled when we're overwhelmed, when we feel scrambled, when we feel a little ungrounded or spacey, or when we're feeling more reactive to something than we want to. So, and then there are other things that create frazzle. Frazzle is like when we're like, I just can't handle what's coming into me. I can't
Right.
process it. I have nowhere to put it. And through the tracking and balancing that we do, we can figure out exactly what energy might be related to what's going on. And so, is it overwhelm? Yes or no? Is it a scramble energetically? Yes or no? Is it a grounding issue? Yes or no? Is it reactivity? Yes or no? And once we figure those things out, somebody actually is calmer, more in their body, more grounded, more centered, more articulate, and just more peaceful.
Wow. Now, with all of these energies, if someone is experiencing being frazzled or reactive, or, we talked about the allergic reactions, have you noticed in the past that it's generally just one track of that energy, or is it, multiple combinations of the 9 energies?
It's usually a lot of things interconnected. I mean, our energies are all related to each other. And so typically there are a number of things that need to be balanced for somebody. Typically it's not just one thing. Typically
Okay.
there are multiple energies that need to be balanced.
So it's not like an all or nothing thing. It's like whichever
No.
combination happens to affect you.
Yes, and we're all unique. And so somebody's headache might be caused by something, and somebody else's headache might be caused by a different energy. If it's an energetic thing, you can have a gallbladder headache, you can have a bladder headache, you can have a triple warmer headache, a stomach headache, you can have a polarity headache, yeah, you can have a
Many
lateral headache.
about this.
I know. And so, my job as an energy medicine practitioner is to track and balance the energy to figure out, hey, is there an energy that we can balance? And does it help somebody feel better?
You mentioned triple warmer. What are there three elements because it's a triple, or what? Explain more about that.
Sure, triple warmer. So most of the meridians are named after the organ or group of organs that they energize.
Okay, like you said, the gallbladder. And
exactly. There's a gallbladder meridian, a lung meridian, a stomach meridian, a large intestine meridian. So you kind of get the hang of it.
Okay, well, wait, I don't mean to interrupt. However,
sure,
you mentioned the gallbladder meridian. Okay, yeah. Now, personally, I've had my gallbladder removed. Does that remove that energy stream?
No, you still have the energy. Even though you don't have the gallbladder, you still have the energy, and it's important to work with it because that energetic flow has a pattern. Okay. And everybody has that. It's like a subway map. So let's just say you closed off the access to the subway. Would the subway still be there? You betcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just has to be rerouted.
Well, and so you're going to actually still use the meridian because the meridian is still there, and the meridian's flowing, and the meridian has an energy that does certain work for you, and it still needs to do that work. Same thing, like if you're amputated, your meridians are still there, working and flowing, which is why I think some people experience some phantom pain. Like that might be a nerve thing from medically, but energetically, oftentimes we can work with the meridian and help relieve the pain due to a phantom pain issue because the meridians are still flowing. And in the energetic world, pain is an indication that energy is blocked. So energetically, we're looking for where are the blocks. But going back to triple warmer.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry. Sure. I don't want to forget that.
No, I like the sidetracks. They're great. So triple warmer refers to the three burners of the body. And the three burners are in our torso. The lower burner involves our large intestine, our small intestine, our reproductive organs. Our middle burner has the bulk of our organs in it. Our liver, our gallbladder, our spleen, pancreas, stomach, kidney, adrenals. Those are all in the middle burner, the middle section of our torso. And then the upper burner, our lungs and our heart. And so if we start to think about, in our torso, thinking about it as engines.
Okay.
And that those engines need to be running and working for us to be alive.
Yeah.
And so triple burner's role is to keep us alive. It governs all of them, not just one. Like lung meridian is all about supplying the lung with energy. But triple burner's got this role of keeping guard of all of it.
It's like the master energy.
It is. It's our warrior. It's our protector. It's the one who says, hey, this thing is going on. I need to move things around to make sure that you have what you need. And that sometimes can create some chaos. So if triple warmer as an energy is perceiving there to be some kind of danger out in the world, it's going to start to say, okay, lung, I'm just going to pull a little bit of extra energy out of that meridian and share it around to somebody else. And so depending on what's going on in the person and their energies, triple warmer can actually overreact sometimes and start pulling from different places. And if that stress lasts for a really long time, it creates an imbalance in the body.
Okay.
So,
and that's when it needs to come visit you.
And that's when we need to bring it back into balance. We want to keep those energies balanced and working harmoniously. And when they're working harmoniously, then we typically feel much better.
Okay. Now, your website talked about medical issues that energy medicine can reduce or help or, complement other treatments, such as arthritis or migraines. Have you noticed in your client base how frequently clients might heal enough to be able to reduce medications?
Such a good question. So first, I just want to clarify.
Okay.
I I don't do any diagnosis,
Okay.
and I never am promissory about healing physical symptoms,
Okay.
because really all I can do in my scope of practice is track and balance the energies.
Okay.
The symptoms that somebody come into me with, it's interesting because it helps me know where I might look energetically,
Okay.
and because they're coming because they want to feel better.
Right.
And so as I track and balance, I'm saying, oh, what might be causing that sinus congestion?
Okay.
And so the
What have you-
sinus congestion is like, there's something imbalanced. What might it be? And then I look at the energy only. And then for many people, the sinus congestion goes away. And so, for example, I've had people no longer need Afrin spray, no longer need allergy medication, no longer,
Okay.
their thyroid medication was reduced just by doing this 5-minute routine and rubbing their neurolymphatics for the first time in 20 years. Needing less antidepressants, needing fewer things. Now, I don't go into this with the idea, oh gosh, I want to reduce their medication. What I go into it with is I want to help them feel more balanced energetically. And then what I hear back is, I feel so much better that I've talked to my doctor and we've reduced my medication. And so
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at.
yeah, ideally I'm working in a system with other practitioners, especially with
Okay.
somebody's physician, because I don't know a thing about medication. I don't know what they are. I don't know anything about them. But what I know is somebody's coming into me with an issue that either isn't responsive, like they're not getting the result, or they're having some kind of side effects, and I
Okay.
can help with the side effects. So if somebody really needs a medication and they're having side effects from it, the energy work can actually help reduce the side effects so they can keep taking their medication.
Okay.
And so this work is really complementary in that way.
No, I'm not asking you for a guarantee. I'm just saying, anecdotal, if you've happened to notice a trend or a pattern or something. So
Absolutely. People have been able to either tolerate their medication more easily without the side effects, or they've been able to reduce or stop taking, with their physician, along with what their physician recommends.
Yeah.
They've been able to reduce or need less of or get off of medication because they're feeling better and their blood work shows it, and they're, like all of their indicators are getting better. And so, yes, I've absolutely seen that.
Cool.
Yeah.
And as you're talking, I'm just thinking, have you noticed or heard reported anything about energy shifts and weight loss? I mean, that right there could be a multi-million-dollar industry.
It is. It's very complicated, weight loss, because there's so much that goes into it. And my experience is that a lot of it is emotional and habit. So we talked about triple warmer,
Yep.
which governs fight or flight, immune response, and habits.
Habits. Oh, there you go.
And there it is, right? So if the energy that governs our survival is also governing our habits of how we ingest food and how much or when or how often and what emotions we're taking care of by doing that, and all of those things, how fast we're metabolizing, then we, yes, working with the energy can definitely assist somebody in shifting their weight. Well, and there's a lot that's involved in it. So yes, I've heard of success in weight management.
Thinking,
yeah.
During social isolation and social distancing and quarantining, I've heard so many reports of people just like stress eating, and they're not eating, carrots, they're eating Twinkies. And
yes, absolutely. And with the energy work, we have techniques to clear the emotion. So I've done a number of YouTube videos that I posted on Facebook. One of the first ones that I did was to have somebody clear emotions of anxiety and fear and overwhelm.
Okay.
And when we work with the energies in that way and we help to clear the emotions, then we no longer have the need to maybe eat the Twinkies out of a stress response. Do you know what I'm saying? So can I help somebody stop eating Twinkies? Well, that's out of my field. Can we clear the emotions that might be underlying somebody's, reach out for the Twinkie? Yeah, we absolutely can do that.
Like almost like a raising awareness. Like, why are you reaching for that Twinkie? Let's
Yeah.
reevaluate why you're, yeah.
Yeah, and again,
I
like
don't mean to
I'm not.
promote Twinkies in any way, shape,
Yeah,
or form.
well, they serve a purpose, right? They certainly do. Uh, again, my scope of practice, I don't have psychotherapy background, but when somebody comes into me and they say, I'm anxious, I'm stressed, I'm fearful, I'm overwhelmed, there are actually points that we can hold on the head, different points that help clear different emotions. And they're effective. They work in like 3 to 5 minutes. So
Right.
why wouldn't you try it?
Seriously. So as you're talking, some of these, exercises that you're discussing only take a few minutes, but for your clients, how many sessions does the average client need to participate before they notice any changes? I mean, is it just like 2 or 3? Is it 1? Is it, the next
It
year? Or
Yeah, it depends. And I would say there isn't really an average because
okay,
different people are coming to me with different needs. And so, for example, if somebody's coming into me with an elbow pain, maybe we can solve that in a session or 2 or 3 sessions, and
okay.
then they're done, or a muscular issue, maybe they're done. If somebody's coming into me with an autoimmune issue that has developed over 20 years, it might take a little bit longer to help their energies move
Oh,
and shift and help their bodies heal to a point where it's settled down, it's more balancing, and they're feeling better. But I've helped people with chronic rashes, I've helped people with chronic eczema,
wow.
I've helped people with a tennis elbow or as a tight hip or a chronic headache that they've had for 10 years or hot flashes, and in some cases or chronic depression for 40 years. Depending on the situation, we've done that and we've managed that in 3 or 4 sessions, or in some cases, it's taken 10 or 20 sessions, or in some cases, I've seen people for a few years because they like to come in, they feel better when they come in, they need that level of support. A key differentiator as well is how much home care somebody is willing to do. If
Uh,
somebody's willing to do 5 minutes a day, they're going to see themselves feeling better much more quickly. If somebody's not willing to do 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day, then it's going to take much longer. They're not going to see the same results as quickly as somebody
and
else.
that's with any type of
It is.
exercise or medicine or behavior.
Exactly. Yeah, it's anything. You kind of have to do some of the work yourself. In fact, with energy medicine, it really is about repatterning. And so you do need to do the exercises on a regular basis to see the results.
Got it. So considering our current situation with the pandemic that, I just mentioned, how
Yeah.
has your approach to clients changed?
So the only change that's happened is that we've moved online.
And you're still able to work with them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And in fact, it works wonderfully. I do Zoom sessions with people and I have them qualify their muscle. I walk them through how to do that. Once we have a qualified muscle, then we track and balance and I show them techniques and they do them on themselves. And so it's a little different because sometimes in the past, people have come into my office and I'll get them on my table and I'll do a lot of work with them. But, the work it's easy to do and we've done it over online. It's great. The sessions are great and people feel so much better at the end. So it's been pretty seamless from my perspective.
Cool. Now, do you have any suggestions for, again, considering our current situation, for anyone who might be experiencing like heightened levels of stress or anxiety?
Absolutely. I would say the 5-minute routine. I have a post of that on my YouTube channel. So it's a 5 Rhythms Consulting YouTube channel. There's a 5-minute routine, and that helps immensely. And one of the other things in terms of like stress and anxiety is putting your hand on your forehead. So it seems kind of straightforward. We would do it anyway if we were feeling overwhelmed. But literally just resting your hand on your forehead can start to relieve feelings of overwhelm.
That
just
really
like
does
that.
something. It's not just a,
It really does something. What it does is it brings blood flow back into our brain. And so just by using the electromagnetic properties of your hand, it starts to bring blood flow back into our brain, and we can start to think more clearly even though we're upset.
okay.
Um, do we have a minute for me to demonstrate one overwhelm technique, or are we done?
I was actually going to ask you about your upcoming class because we are almost out of time. We have about 2
Great.
minutes left.
Okay, so actually next Saturday, the 30th, I'm teaching an introductory class where I cover the exercises in this 5-minute routine. I talk about triple warmer and spleen and how to balance them. We cover some great exercises that help people feel less overwhelmed, feel less stressed, feel like they can move forward in their life, even though the world around us feels a little crazy right now. And the class has gotten rave reviews, and I've been teaching online now for a few months, given the COVID thing, and people are really getting what they need from these classes. So I would encourage, if you're curious, to check it out.
Now, is that available on your, the link available on your website to
It
sign up?
is. Yep. The URL is consultfr.com/events,
Oh,
and you'll see it there.
all right. Well, we are just about out of time. So I definitely want to thank you so much. I'm glad I finally got to talk to you.
Me too.
And hopefully I will be able to have you come into the studio once, social distancing requirements relax a little bit and we can work, you can demonstrate some of the techniques.
Great.
But I do want to thank you very much. And I want to thank everybody at home for tuning in, and hopefully they've gotten as much out of this conversation and it's piqued their interest like it has mine. And I hope everyone stays safe, and I will soon see everyone around town.
Thank you so much, Linda.